Southern California, welcome to Money Matters with Dino. Saturdays from noon to 1, right here on Power Players Radio, KTLK AM1150. Do you own a home or have plans to in the future? You'll get all the information you need to know about what's happening in the local real estate market and how to take advantage of that knowledge. How to approach home ownership or mortgage financing with design, vision, and focus, as well as accurate information. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, listen to Money Matters with Dino right here on Power Players Radio, KTLK AM1150.
Welcome back to Money Matters with Dino on KTLK AM1150. If you have any questions for myself or my guests, or if you need help with your money matters, give us a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. From your estate to real estate, we're here to help. This segment is brought to you by CFAM Credit Solutions. They specialize in credit repair, and these are the ones that, you know, a lot of us have these pesky little $39 collection accounts, or we had something go wrong back when we were in college and didn't realize the value of having good credit. And now it's time to get those things cleaned up. A few points on your credit report can make the difference of a lot of money on your home loan, on a car loan, on anything like that. So if you need any help, go to moneymatterswithdino.com. There's a tab there for CFAM Credit Solutions. Just click on them, ask for some help, and they will take care of everything for you. Joining us today in our discussion panel with the experts is home inspection expert Rick Yeger and Orange County real estate specialist Jimmy Reed. Today our topic is hidden home horrors that cost you money. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
So, Rick, let's start with you. Before we jump into the topic, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I got my big break in the construction industry back in 1975, working for my father's construction company. He handed me a shovel out in Palm Springs in the middle of a hot summer day. It's probably 120 degrees, and my job was digging utility trenches.
Now, that sounds like a big break.
Oh, it was a big break. and then he promoted me to swinging a hammer probably a year later. And one thing led to another. I worked for my father's construction company, I would say until about 1985. My dad retires, and now it's time for me to go out on my own, which I did. I subbed myself out as a superintendent for other general contracting companies. Decided I've learned enough. In 1990, I got my own construction license, general contractor's license in 1990. Of course, that was probably the worst time I could have possibly have gotten my own contractor's license.
Right.
But anyhow, in 1998, I decided to parlay my construction knowledge into a full-time home inspection business. And in 1998, I started Building Specs.
Okay. How'd that go for you?
Oh, it's going great. It's been fantastic for me. I mean, I couldn't... if somebody would have told me in 1998, start a home inspection business and this was going to happen to you, I would have told them that they were nuts. They were crazy.
I find this interesting because for those of you that have dealt with home inspection guys before, you don't typically find what you see here with Rick Yeger. You got these like movie star looks about you, and I know you've done a little TV. What was that all about?
Well,
sorry to bring it up. He's blushing.
It's funny. That was kind of a fluke. There's a company or there's a show called, you've heard of DIY Network, and you've
Sure.
probably heard of HGTV. A friend of mine who happens to be a home inspector on the East Coast, he was called out to do a show for HGTV. It was called The House Detective. Well, the show was kind of getting stale and stagnant because everything that they were filming was just on the East Coast, and it got kind of old looking at just Tudors and East Coast homes.
Right.
So the producers of that show asked my friend Steve if they knew of any other inspectors that might be interested in the show, and one thing led to another. They called me to do a test show. And after that particular show, I ended up doing House Detective for 3 years.
Oh, cool. Well, that's fun.
Oh, it was great fun, but it's TV. It's a lot of work.
All right. How about Jimmy Reed over there? What's your background, and tell us a little bit about why you're the leading expert down in South County.
Well, I've been in the business about 15 years full time, but I was raised in a mortgage and in real estate family. And I saw some of the, it's interesting, the name of this, Hidden Horrors. I just saw the horrors in the real estate industry as a kid. And at 18, I thought, I'm being groomed for this, and I went in the military for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And decided that's not what I want to do. Well, I ended up coming back into it in the 1990s, and I've been full-time ever since. But, my takeaway growing up, being raised around people who really cared about people. It wasn't as much about the sure, we're in this business to make money. But the reality was it was taking care of people. There was a lot of reward in that, and that's what's going to sustain you for the long haul. That's what I saw, in my family. So, I've just kind of taken that to heart, and it seems a little naive, a little foolish, I guess. So, you got to be this aggressive. Yeah, you got to be aggressive. But if at the end of the day, if you don't care about bringing the best people to the job, like Rick,
right?
Okay, and looking for folks like that,
yep.
Your career is going to be short-lived.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd rather kill a deal and save my client than close, make a few bucks, and
all day long.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, welcome to the show, guys. Let's just jump right into the questions here. Okay, so first question. In California, although it's not mandatory that you have one, I know that agents pretty much advise all their clients that they get one. But Rick, these home inspectors that are out there, I wouldn't say they're all qualified. What kind of certification do they have to have, and how do they become a home inspector?
That's a very good question. And in California, the answer is a big fat no, negative, nada. Certification or licensing is not a requirement in California.
So somebody can get paid to go inspect a home but not have any actual certification for it.
I can hang a shingle on my door today stating that I'm a home inspector and be in business tomorrow.
No contractor's license, nothing.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing's required. And it's funny because you will see most home inspectors in our area advertising themselves as certified. But if you ask what does certified mean, you will likely get a dazed and confused look on the inspector's face because it's hard to quantify what qualified home inspector really means.
So what would you advise then to somebody listening right now that's stuck in this position where they're getting a home inspection? How do they find somebody that you would deem qualified?
Well, the best thing to do is get online. Ask your friends, neighbors, colleagues if they've had inspections done on any homes that they've recently purchased. And then once you do find some candidates, call them up and ask them questions. Why do you think that you would be the best candidate to inspect my house?
Okay.
Lineage, I think, is probably the best answer. I feel like the inspectors that have been in business the longest are probably the best qualified. They've been through all the trials and tribulations and all the errors that we all made as rookie home inspectors.
Sure.
And with age comes experience. For myself, I've taken hundreds of classes, continuing education classes, and am required to as a member of the associations that I belong to.
Now, would you say that they should have a contractor's license, or is that not really necessary? Is it overkill?
It's not necessarily a must. There are a lot of good inspectors out there that do not have a contractor's license. However, I feel that being in the trades gives you a certain edge and instinct that maybe some of the inspectors that don't have that background have.
Okay. What about water damage in the foundation? Is that the biggest nightmare for homeowners?
I think that water damage in general is the biggest nightmare for homeowners and the most common. And I'd say of the 9,000 or so home inspectors that I performed, water seems to be the most damaging in general. And undetected moisture can lead to rotting of the structural members, foundation settlement, foul smells, health issues, etc. And during emergencies, I've seen entire families move out of their home while the water remediation company is coming in to do their work, and it puts a lot of stress on the family and the family members.
And I know mold in the past several years has been a big issue. Is it still that, or did they overplay that a little bit?
No, I think mold continues to be a big concern with my clients anyhow, and yes, we still need to worry about it. To give you an example, I have a client right now in Coda de Casa, and she has been confirmed by specialists to be hypersensitive to mold. And unfortunately, because of poor construction techniques done to her home in the last 2 years has flooded 3 times, and she's had to move out 3 times. And each time it's flooded, it has resulted in a mold remediation needing to be done on the house.
Wow. Jimmy, I got a question for you on the real estate side. You know, I know all the buyers, they end up getting a home inspection done when they're buying it, but do you ever recommend your seller to get that done first before they put it on the market so they know what they're up against?
I do. You know, it's not 100% of the time. You know, if the home is super clean and they've lived there and they've worked out a lot of the bugs and, you know, you can tell that they've really, really taken care of it, then it's not always necessary, but I will advise them and give them a little bit of, you know, heads up. Yeah.
Or is it, you know, there's like, I guess, a fine line, right? Because if you find out what the problem is, then you're selling the home, you could end up causing a big problem. Or is it better on the seller side to wait, let the buyer do it?
No, and this takes a discussion, and this takes posturing and confidence and a willingness, going back to my introduction, a willingness to really help people.
Do the right thing.
Yeah, you know, and for everybody. But ultimately, when you can work with a seller in advance and really ask them questions about the home.
Sure.
Not just talk about pricing, I can do this and do my little dance. I really want to help them prepare for the market.
Right.
And part of that is, hey, let's talk about what works, what doesn't work, what have you experienced, ever had any roof leaks, and you know, those kinds of things. Because I really want to help them because I can get them the highest price, all that good stuff.
Yeah. What, you know, I got a question that just recently, and I didn't know the answer, but the majority of the houses in California, they're older, but we do have some new construction as well.
Right.
And you said something earlier that triggered this question. You know, a lot of the people, they've worked out the bugs. Right. But in new construction, there's no bugs to work out quite yet. I mean, is it maybe a little bit scary sometimes to buy a new house?
Yeah. Well, you would think not. From the public's eyes, they're thinking,
you're buying a new house.
I've got this brand new thing. It's warranted, and everything's going to be taken care of. The truth of the matter is, bugs aren't worked out. And we find, and I think, Rick, you could probably speak to this too, but I want to tell you, it's critical. It's critical that you have some, in my mind, just my opinion, that you have someone that has construction experience, that has been up there on the roof, that understands what the wire looks like over the black paper, that kind of stuff. It's really critical, that, you know, to have someone like Rick's eyes on it, because we find sometimes more stuff on new construction.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because I have a client that, I mean, his house is probably 7 years old, and he's having major foundation problems right now. And you know, when he bought it, he thought he was buying a brand new home. It's going to last that much longer. Right. So unfortunately, I think you don't see a lot of this stuff until it's too late. How about making repairs? Like it gets done, you're ready to close escrow. There's a few issues that the inspector found. Is it better to for the seller to make those repairs, or is it better to credit them the money and have the new buyer make those repairs, you know, themselves once they close escrow?
Right. It's a timing issue today. Everybody wants things done yesterday, you know, short escrows, and it's a timing thing. But it also is a matter of what we suggest is the buyer's always happy when they're using somebody that's accountable to them, right? That they've done the research on, maybe their roofer, maybe their plumber, et cetera. And then there's that connection afterwards. If we can do that, it usually works out better as a trust factor. Using somebody else's, once the deal's done, it's kind of having to work through the other agent to get things done. We find that works best when they
gets difficult. You're listening to Money Matters with Dino on KTalk AM1150. If you have any questions at all about your mortgage, current rates and programs, or any questions for our panel of experts, give us a call. We're at 949-720-1616. I do want to remind you that I am a mortgage broker, and this is a very complicated market for both buyers and sellers. Therefore, my recommendation is put together a team that really knows the industry, knows your market, and understands your needs. If you'd like some help putting that team together, give me a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. From your estate to real estate, we're here to help.
If you're a business owner or have a high net worth, it's important you have the proper insurance coverages. However, from a financial standpoint, it's even more important to have someone else pay the premiums for you. That's right, it's called insurance premium financing. In short, it means we use a combination of loans and secured assets to fund the payment of your premiums for your life insurance coverage. With this unique program, there's no need to pay expensive annual insurance premiums or estate taxes out of pocket or out of your company's cash flow. Your assets remain intact, protected from creditors, while your family and business receive the security they need. I'll bet you'd like more information. Simply call James Burns at 866-544-8825. That's 866-544-8825. Or go to whitediamondinsurance.com.
Finally, a reputable legal firm. CDA Law Center, a nationally recognized nonprofit homeowner advocate, one of the most trusted firms in the country for helping consumers with their loan modification process. CDA's attorneys have decades of combined experience guiding their clients through the very complex and choppy waters of loan modification. Call 877-499-4435, 877-499-4435. Finally, honest and ethical advice to gain real results. Call CDA Law Center at 877-499-4435. That's 877-499-4435. Or check them out online at cdalawcenter.com.
Mortgage professionals, are you looking for a company that values you as a loan officer? One that can provide you with the tools you need to grow your business at your pace? Then look no further than CHL Mortgage. CHL Mortgage provides you with a full range of residential loan products and services. You'll be backed by an exceptionally trained team of professionals that can take your clients as seriously as you do. Your clients will be treated with dedicated service, personal integrity, and exceptional professionalism. You'll be able to guide them in the right loan with competitive rates and keep them on the road to achieving life's goals. To get started on advancing your career, call Dino with CHL Mortgage at 949-720-1616. That's CHL Mortgage, 949-720-1616.
Welcome back to Money Matters with Dino. If you have any questions for me or my guests, or if you need help with your money matters, give me a call at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616. From your estate to real estate, we're here to help. You can also check with us online at moneymatterswithdino.com. And we're going to have these two guests here today. We're going to have their information online. If you have any questions for either Rick or Jimmy, just give them a call directly. Their information is online at moneymatterswithdino.com. This segment is brought to you by Citywide Home Loans, bringing you low rates, specials on closing costs, and exceptional service. We're in the middle of our panel discussion with the experts, and if you're just tuning in, we're talking about hidden home horrors that cost you money. Of course, if you missed any part of the show, you can go online at moneymatterswithdino.com and check out the show in its entirety. We also have it on our Facebook page, which is just simply Facebook.com/Money Matters with Dino. So we're speaking to home inspector expert Rick Yeger and Orange County real estate specialist Jimmy Reed. Guys, I got a few more questions I want to get to, but Rick, you had something you wanted to.
Well, I just wanted to go back to something that we spoke about earlier, and Jimmy started to talk about his feelings about having the home inspected before they put it on the market. And I just wanted to give you, from a home inspector's perspective, how I feel about that. And I personally think that having your house inspected before you put it on the market is a very proactive approach to selling the house, because who wants to spend all the aggravation, grief, money, get emotionally involved, financially involved in a house, only to have the home inspector come in while you're in escrow? Everyone's on pins and needles. They're biting their nails, thinking, oh my gosh, what's the home inspector going to find?
Right.
So I think if you could take care of any of the big items that may come up during the home inspection, because they're going to come up sooner or later, it's better to address them before you get into an escrow than after you get into the escrow, because that is potentially going to kill your deal.
You know, that goes back into the beginning of the show when I had my words of wisdom. you got the people that are always putting out fires, and you got the people that just seem to breeze through everything. And really, it's not that they're that blessed in life. It's just they deal with their problems before they happen,
Right.
and they try and assess all the situations so they can come up with solutions. And I personally, and just because it's my style, I would rather know all these problems ahead of time, go into a brand new escrow with them up front. So if somebody's going to try and buy my house, I want them to know what it's all about. I want them to be okay with certain things, or let's negotiate it out and be done, versus being into escrow 10, 20 days into it and then have the whole thing fall apart, or one person think they got you over the barrel and somebody's going to lose and be unhappy that way. It's much easier to just have everything out in the open.
And it's a good point. And also the home inspection can also be used to go back to the seller and hammer them on price. So if you want to take that negotiating power away from the seller, have the home inspected beforehand.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I got another question here for Jimmy. Do you see a lot of damage caused by the salt and moisture down in the coastal communities?
That's a good question. The answer is yes and no. You know it's there, but it's really a matter of whether there's deferred maintenance or not. If folks are taking care of their home, you're not going to see it. You know it's there. I mean, let's face it, salt,
Sure.
air, that's what it does.
Yeah.
But if they are maintaining it, you're not going to see it. But we do see a lot of it because people are not staying on top of it. Maybe the first couple of years they own it, but people get busy and
Sure. Especially, I would imagine, with the downturn we had recently with financial problems, a lot of people probably let a lot of little things go that now are
Right.
probably a little bigger than they originally expected.
And more so on the 2 to 4 units as far as investment side.
Sure.
More so there than on the residential. Yeah.
Got it. Rick, what about water heaters and just plumbing in general? I know, we talked about earlier, water can be, one of the biggest issues, but how big of a problem is that? Because as an inspector, you don't open up walls, right?
Well, we don't open up walls. And let's face it, sooner or later, if you're a homeowner, something in your house is going to fail. The water heater, the air conditioner, something is going to fail. They just don't last forever, just like your car doesn't last forever. So water heaters are going to leak, and if a leak goes undetected for a period of time, it's going to cause damage to the house. Now, of course, home inspectors aren't breaking open walls to see if there's any internal damage inside the walls. We just don't do that. But I can tell you a story real quick if we have time.
Absolutely.
There was a, and here's one of the reasons why home inspectors don't open up walls.
Or shouldn't.
Number one is we just don't have permission from the homeowners, and we're not doing destructive testing to verify our thoughts or maybe our inclinations. There was a house in Shady Canyon where the agent told me the story. The listing agent on another property told me the story. It was his listing, and the home inspectors were on the property doing an inspection, and he was present during the inspection. And he's like, "Where are the inspectors? Where'd they go? I haven't seen them for a while." So he decided to walk upstairs, and to his surprise, the home inspectors were cutting 2-inch holes in a wall. They were trying to chase a problem. First of all, home inspectors should not be doing that. Second of all, this was a Venetian plastered wall.
Oh my gosh.
They cut about 5 holes in the wall that ended up costing them $30,000 to repair.
my gosh.
Venetian plaster, and I think it may have been a Hamish job.
Right.
But anyhow,
Yeah.
that's one example why.
Right.
We don't move things during the inspection process either, because you never know whose parts might be in that vase that are sitting on the hearth extension
Right.
in front of the fireplace. So.
All right. Jimmy, how often do these inspection reports ruin deals?
Well,
And is there always a way to negotiate it? Or
Yeah.
sometimes is it just dead because of it?
most of the time there is a way to negotiate it, and that starts long before the inspection ever happens as far as prepping the clients. If you're representing a seller, and you notice you have the due diligence. Actually, we all have legal agency with our clients, whether you're representing a buyer or a seller, and we have actually a fiduciary duty to point out anything that we even observe. I find a lot of agents don't even recognize or realize that.
Right.
But so anything that we see, if we see deferred maintenance and we really need to be in front of it. Well, when you're showing somebody a home and they love it and they're emotionally attached to it,
Right.
okay, and you see that there's going to be problems, you can't sit there and put your fingers crossed behind your back going, "Oh, please, I hope this closes," right? You got to be in front of it to help them and realize, hey, look, like Rick said, every home's going to have issues just like anything else. A lot of moving parts, and you gotta say, hey, we're gonna have it inspected. If you notice anything with earth movement or plumbing or water stains, you get the right people in there. And so if you're in front of it and you're proactive, like you said early on, you can mitigate a lot of those issues for everybody involved.
Is there ever something though that you're gonna tell your client, no, you have to walk away from this?
Here's how I do that, okay? Because everything that we're required to disclose is a material fact. Everybody involved in the property, both principals, the brokers. So what I keep pushing for, if they're still in love with this baby because it looks like the home that they grew up in or whatever,
right,
is I will get Rick to emphasize and tell them, have a conversation, sidebar, that we need to have a geologist out there, for example, or we need to have a roof someone that specializes in roof issue or mold and water restoration. And I keep clawing away, so that way I give them material. Here's my gut feeling. I don't want to really direct people with my gut feeling. I want to give them material facts. And so thankfully I have people like Rick to be able to turn to do, as well as other people that specialize in these areas, like water damage.
Particular specialties.
Yeah, and that will steer them into the right direction.
Rick, what about swimming pools, jacuzzis, stuff like that? How big of a problem can those cause? And is that your expertise? Do you get involved with that?
Well, if they're willing to pay us to inspect their pool, we get into it. And living in Southern California, being a home inspector, you've got to get into inspecting pools. People are going to expect it of you. But if there are problems with swimming pools, as you know, living in hillside communities where the hills are always moving, any problems with a pool can end up costing tens, if not hundreds of thousands to repair. It's not often inspecting homes in San Clemente and Laguna Beach where we find a house that has a pool. We're inspecting the pool and we see that the pool is out of level. And of course, you can only imagine which direction the pool's out of level, towards the Pacific Ocean, right?
Right.
Hillsides creep, and sometimes building a pool on a hillside home is just a dumb idea. So it's very important. It's something that we take very seriously, and we spend a lot of time when we do inspect a pool for our clients.
Okay, that's great information. If you just jumped into your car, you're listening to Money Matters with Dino on KTalk AM 1150. We can be heard every Saturday afternoon from 12 to 1, or you can check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. Guys, this is something I had never heard before, but I read this. Just because the floor is level doesn't mean it hasn't sunk half a foot. Is that doable? Is that possible?
Well, I'll go first, Jimmy.
Please.
It is possible.
You're the expert, buddy.
It is doable, and I'll give you an example. I have a friend, Steve, who lives on the East Coast. He lives in Maryland. He lives next to the Chesapeake Bay, where they have a very high water table underneath the homes. And it's not uncommon for a house to sink or settle because of the water table. Now, you wouldn't expect, when you say the house has sunk, and you wouldn't know it, it's because there's been cases, according to my friend Steve, that the house has sunk and someone's tried to hide it. They've tried to cover up by putting leveling compounds on the house or in the house.
Okay.
So yes, it can be deceiving.
Interesting. All right, my producer Phil, he's from Florida, so his whole hurricane thing and a lot of water damage and stuff. Leaky roofs seem to really freak him out. I know he's talked to me a little bit about that in the past. Is it easy to spot and fix, or could you have a problem that you don't even know about when it comes to roofs?
Well, first, I'm sorry, Phil, that you spent some time in Florida. I've been there myself.
12 hurricanes. 12.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
and the football team.
Leaks can be very tough. There are such things as passive leaks that you just don't see. They can enter the attic and follow joists down to the exterior walls and end up inside the exterior walls, and you never see them. I mean, people will tell me, well, my roof doesn't leak, and they say that their roof doesn't leak, even though I've come down and show them verifiable evidence to prove that their roof is going to leak. They'll have arguments with me saying that, well, my roof doesn't leak, and somebody will say my roof doesn't leak because they don't see stains on their ceilings, or that water's not actually dripping on their forehead in the middle of the night. Leaks can occur in the attic, and you may not be aware of it. And those are the worst leaks of all, because the passive leaks just aren't found. They're doing internal damage that you're unaware of.
Yeah. Jimmy, what about the whole? There's home inspections. There's termite inspections.
Right.
You know, in the coastal community, are termites a big deal?
Well, they are a big deal. Yeah, we have.
Are they more prevalent in the West Coast?
You know, I've never sold real estate on the East Coast, but I am always surprised. I will tell you this: we do a lot of corporate relocation, and we're bringing folks from the East Coast out here, and they're always surprised about, you know, these swarming seasons and everything that we have to, you know, tell them about. That really comes from the pest inspector. But the answer to your question is, seemingly there's more of a problem out here. But I always tell them, look, even before the home is built, you got raw wood laying on the ground there for days. Right. It's a smorgasbord, you know what I mean? they're framing it up, going, this is great. They're eating away while it's going up. So the reality is, there's termites in every deal. So it's a matter of having a really good qualified pest inspector get out there and take a look at it. But I want to tell you that I depend on Rick's report, because he points out a lot of stuff, that sometimes they'll miss.
Right.
And I'm able to go back out and say, hey, I want you to go out and take a look at this, because this was caught.
So there's a different inspector for termites and a different one for home inspection.
There is.
But Mr. Yeger over here pretty much knows and understands all aspects of it.
Right, and that's why we panic when he gets too busy and I've got home inspection, right? So we do literally panic.
What do home inspections cost, and what do termite inspections cost?
Right, termite inspection is going to cost, well, it depends on, let's just talk about the average home, and, you know, about a $700,000 home, 3,000 square foot, you know, here in Central Orange County. That home inspection is going to cost anywhere between $550 and $600. Pest inspection is going to cost about $185, $200, and they go around. They won't go on the second level.
Okay.
Okay, and it'll be all visual, so they can't prod and poke the upper eaves, rather.
Uh-huh.
And that usually, if it's wood fascia, it's going to have some termite.
Something.
Yeah.
Got it. You're listening to Money Matters with Dino on K-Talk AM 1150. If you have any questions at all about your mortgage, current rates and programs, or you're looking to buy a new home or investment property, give me a call. I'm at 949-720-1616. That's why we're here, to make sure you're getting the most out of your real estate needs and protect you and your family from all of the potential hidden horrors out there that you're hearing about right now. Call us at 949-720-1616. That's 949-720-1616, or check us out online at moneymatterswithdino.com. From your estate to real estate, we're here to help. Stick around. We'll be back right after the break.